You're watching TAG TV.
Hello viewers, I'm your host Uzma Jafri with another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show with India, which has gained the reputation of a global player owing to its role and endeavors in bringing peace and stability to the region of South Asia and the world. Whether it is the brief political turmoil in the Maldives and Sri Lanka or the years-long war in Afghanistan, India has always advocated peace. Today, we'll talk about Indian commitment to rebuilding Afghanistan, under which it has been extensively working at not only refurbishing the infrastructure destroyed by perennial violence, but also at providing a glimmer of hope to the besieged and terrorized Afghans. A report.
Top-level engagements, ever-increasing number of memorandums of understanding, and they getting materialized at an unprecedented speed are the underlying features of a robust India-Afghanistan relationship, which is only moving north with the passage of time. The relationship, which has got its foundations in the historical contacts and exchanges between the people, received a boost with two countries signing the Strategic Partnership Agreement in 2011. The Strategic Partnership Agreement (SPA) between the two sides provide for assistance to help rebuild Afghanistan's infrastructure and institutions, education and technical assistance to rebuild indigenous Afghan capacity in different areas, encouraging investment in Afghanistan's natural resources, providing duty-free access to the Indian market for Afghanistan's export support for an Afghan-led, Afghan-owned, broad-based and inclusive process of peace and reconciliation, and advocating the need for a sustained and long-term commitment to Afghanistan by the international community. Working in the line of that commitment, a number of missions have been accomplished and even more are underway. Indians played a key role in building more than 200-kilometer long Zarang-Dilaram highway in order to provide Afghanistan another outlet to a seaport. The successful operation of the Chabahar port in Iran would capitalize on this road to offer a new transit route of Afghan products to India, while opening a new route for India and the rest of the world for trade with Central Asia. The inauguration of the dedicated air cargo corridor in June 2017 between Kabul-Delhi and Kandahar-Delhi has provided a fresh impetus to bilateral trade, which stood at approximately $1.43 billion in previous fiscal. Other Indian projects in Afghanistan include Indira Gandhi Institute of Child Health. Medical equipment worth ₹17.16 crore has already been delivered and installed. Construction of a decentralized wastewater treatment system along with the necessary sewage system. After reconstruction of the Habibia High School in Kabul at a cost of ₹5.1 million, India has been supporting the school by way of upgradation of facilities and training of teachers. India contributes $1 million annually to the program to treat children suffering from congenital heart disease. It is not just the rebuilding efforts and remarking of Afghanistan that India is extensively involved in, but it has also supported an inclusive peace process in the country. The projects undertaken are in public domain, and it is a well-acknowledged fact around the world that India has been assisting Afghanistan at more than one front. People who have resorted to guns and bombs to bring peace in the region will never understand the India's soft power role.
We are now joined by Parikshit Manhas, a scholar and an expert on South Asian affairs, to speak more on India's role in rebuilding Afghanistan. What, according to you, are the major achievements of India in Afghanistan? How successful has it been in rebuilding the country? And what, according to you, should world know about the Indian diplomacy vis-a-vis Afghanistan before criticizing?
See, first of all, India has been a major ally of Afghanistan, and we have always supported that political stability should be brought back to Afghanistan. We have always supported the political or popularly elected governments through a democratic process in Afghanistan. India within past 16 years has invested more than $2 billion within this particular region, especially in Afghanistan, and they have got set up multiple projects, right from health care to community development to education to irrigation to flood control. and other activities within the Afghan region. And India has been constantly advocating the fact that Afghanistan should come out. We should make efforts to make it self-sustaining, and a lot of humanitarian aid from India has been flowing regularly into Afghanistan. And India has been always talking about that there should be the people of Afghanistan should be given their rights, and there should be a popularly or a democratically elected government within this particular region. India, as a big brother within the Indian subcontinent, has always been propagating the fact that international community should also come forward and help in this growth or rebuilding of Afghanistan. Some of the rich countries have not been showing their concerns or support towards Afghanistan, and they have also been belittling the fact that India is doing something over there. But actually the work that India has done in past 16 years is remarkable, and the amount of aid that India has given is remarkable.
Moving on. The Taliban, which had recently called off its peace talks with Afghanistan, has now cancelled the dialogues with the United States of America as well. The decision came in the backdrop of growing disagreements between two parties over the release of prisoners and a demand of ceasefire. A report.
The peace talks between Afghanistan, Taliban and America are suffering through a rough patch of time. Recently, after denying to continue peace talks with Afghanistan government, Taliban has now refused to hold peace talks with the US too. This latest development is a result of agenda conflicts between the two participating parties. The disagreement over declaration of ceasefire in 2019 is a major reason for Taliban's back out from the talks. The extremist group outrightly refused to announce ceasefire until and unless they achieve major gains on the ground. The other agendas to be laid on table included exchange of prisoners between the US and Taliban, lifting ban on movement of Taliban and withdrawal of US troops. The US-Taliban peace talks, which were scheduled to be held on 9th and 10th of January in Qatar, would have been the first peace meeting of 2019. In a staunch response to Taliban's unruly attitude, Afghanistan's chief executive Abdullah Abdullah has said that unless Taliban forces engage into peace talks, the end of 17-year-old war will remain only a dream. While the peace talks seem to be on a fluctuating mode, the US has asserted that its goal is to promote dialogue among Afghans about how to end the conflict and to encourage the parties to come together at the negotiating table to reach a political settlement. After continuous efforts since last 1 month, the peace meetings seem to be going into cold storage since Taliban always comes up with a new excuse to halt the talks. The latest round of peace talks had begun in the month of December 2018. The peace meetings were initially going through a smooth phase, but later an attack by Taliban in Afghanistan led to a dramatic turn of events. Followed by the attack, Taliban refused to hold further talks with Afghanistan. The revived tension between the two parties ultimately led to the postponement of presidential elections in Afghanistan. After refusing to engage into talks with Afghan officers, Taliban had demanded a change of venue. Initially, the meetings were being held in Saudi Arabia and later it was shifted to Qatar. This was the first meeting scheduled in Qatar, but due to disagreements between the Taliban and the US, the meeting eventually got cancelled. The war in Afghanistan is America's longest overseas war with military intervention. It has cost Washington nearly $1 trillion and killed tens of thousands of people. The Taliban have rejected repeated requests from regional powers to allow Afghan officials to take part in the talks, insisting that the United States is their main adversary. US Special Envoy to Afghanistan Zalmay Khalilzad, who is also a key mediator in the Afghan-Taliban peace talks, is visiting India this week to discuss US plans for withdrawing troops from Afghanistan. The meeting between the US and India will also aim at discussing the efforts that are underway to bring Taliban to the talks table.
Moving on. Sheikh Hasina was sworn in as the Prime Minister of Bangladesh for the 4th time after she emerged triumphant in the 3rd successive general elections. 47-member cabinet was also sworn in along with her at her official residence in Dhaka. Earlier, her party Awami League and its allies won polls by a landslide, securing 288 seats in the 300-seat parliament. A report.
Abi Sheikh Hasina
সশ্রদ্ধ চিত্তে শপথ করিতেছি যে
সশ্রদ্ধচিত্তে শপথ করিতেছি যে
আমি আইন অনুযায়ী সরকারের প্রধানমন্ত্রী পদের কর্তব্য বিশ্বস্ততার সহিত পালন করিব।
Amid a slew of criticism and rigging allegations by opposition, Sheikh Hasina was sworn in as the Prime Minister of the country for the third successive term. Hasina recorded a landslide victory in the 11th parliamentary elections that were fraught with violence and alleged crackdown of government against the opposition leaders. The leaders of opposition who were absent in the ceremony have called the polls farcical. The ceremony was held at her official residence in capital Dhaka. Hasina dropped 36 members from the previous cabinet and also didn't pick members of allied parties. She reserved the portfolios of public administration, defense, energy and mineral resources along with women and children affairs. Hasina will lead a cabinet of 24 ministers and 19 ministers of state and 3 state ministers. Her cabinet mostly includes new faces. 31 members of the new cabinet are first-timers.
It is my perception that Hasina wants to portray a new image of her party, of her government, of Bangladesh. So when you change the team, you are coming out with new face. So she is trying to send positive vibration, positive signals to the entire people of Bangladesh that now I am coming with my new approach, new agenda, new team, and there will be new Bangladesh.
As many as 17 people lost their lives and numerous others were injured in the elections, which are being termed as deadliest till date. Noting the repeated allegations of the opposition members, the European Union has called for an investigation into the allegations of irregularities, saying significant obstacle to a level playing field tainted the electoral campaign and the vote. The United Nations has said that there was indications that reprisals targeted the opposition since the election, including physical attacks, arbitrary arrest, harassments, disappearances, and filing of criminal cases.
No opposition party ever praises any party which comes into power. They will have some other excuse to blame the party which has won, firstly. Secondly, I give no credence to these international organizations who have vested interest in making comments which suits them.
However, Sheikh Hasina continues to top charts of popularity and is garnering more traction with every rising day. From domestic monitors to international agencies, all have praised Hasina for the reputation and development Bangladesh gained over time. Over the past decade, the economy has grown on average 6.3% a year under her rule. And in recent years, the rate of growth has matched or exceeded that of both India and Pakistan. Childhood mortality rate have been slashed from 63 deaths per 1,000 lives birth to 26, while fertility rates have fallen and school attendance has risen by more than 10%. Not so long ago, Hasina won praise from the international community for accommodating 700,000 Rohingya refugees that fled violent persecution in western Myanmar.
Moving on to the region of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, where people have upped their ante against the Islamabad government. Locals accuse the government of keeping them bereft of all the dividends being reaped out of their land and water. They also say that Pakistan has been meting out atrocities in order to muzzle the rational voices who put a challenge to their autocracy. A report.
Hundreds of protesters took to the streets of Muzaffarabad against the Neelam Jhelum power project that has not only affected the life and livelihood of the people but has rendered many homeless. Protesters are furious as no tangible developments have been recorded in the situation even after months of claimed deliberation by the government. The locals who lost their land for the construction of their massive project were never compensated. Compounding their atrocities, they were not even rendered the dividends of running the project. Calling government's promises of resolving the issues a hogwash, protesters accused the materialistic nexus of Islamabad and Beijing for the miserable state they were reeling in and said that authorities never paid any heed to the interests and plights of locals while moving ahead with the construction deals.
समझते हैं ये जो मुजफ्फराबाद और बिलमूम नाम नहाद आज़ाद कश्मीर में जहाँ जहाँ ये जो आइडल प्रोजेक्ट लगे हैं, इन आइडल प्रोजेक्ट्स का कोई भी फ़ायदा यहाँ के रियासती आवाम को नहीं दिया गया। तमाम हमारे वसाइल पे कब्ज़ा किया जा रहा है। एक तरफ दयामर और बादशाह डैम बनाने के लिए चंदे इकट्ठे किए जा रहे हैं और दूसरी तरफ लाखों के जो कश्मीरी रियासत के आवाम हैं उनको जो है पानी के हक से, बुनियादी हक से महरूम किया जा रहा है। पानी के इस बुनियादी हक से महरूम करने की जो भी कोशिश करेगा हम उसके खिलाफ भरपूर तहरीक चलाएंगे। और यहाँ पे भी बिलखसूस हम ये समझते हैं कि यहाँ के जो रियासती नाम नाद कठपुतली हुक्मरान गुजरे हैं वो तमाम के तमाम जिम्मेदार हैं, पाकिस्तान के अदारे जिम्मेदार हैं, वापटा जिम्मेदार है और हम समझते हैं कि बराह रास्त पाकिस्तान की हुकूमत इसमें जिम्मेदार है। हम ये भी मुतालबा करते हैं चाइनीज़ हुकूमत से कि वो यहाँ के रियासती अवाम के वसाइल पर कब्जा करने से बाज रहे।
आजाद कश्मीर भी सुन ले, इमरान भी सुन ले, बाजवा भी सुन ले, नामंजूर।
Since the inauguration of a phase of Neelam Jhelum hydropower plant, a social unrest has ensued in the region. People are regularly holding demonstrations against the government. Activists blame power corridors of Islamabad, where the decisions regarding the region, which supposedly holds an autonomous status in constitution, are taken for the deteriorating situation.
रियासत पाकिस्तान को कोई हक हासिल नहीं है कि वो यहाँ पे हमारे वसाइल पे कब्जा करे। हमने देखा पिछले 20 सालों में नीलम झेलम के नाम पे हमारे पानियों पे कब्जा करने की कोशिश की गई और अब अपनी जिम्मेदारियां उतारने के लिए CPEC के नाम से ये कहा जा रहा है कि हमारा तो कोई कंट्रोल नहीं है, हमारा तो कोई बस नहीं है, ये सारा CPEC का तनाज़र है। तो हम इसकी भरपूर मजम्मत करते हैं, इसके खिलाफ भरपूर जदोजहद करेंगे।
शहर के बेटे, इस शहर के बेटे, इस शहर के वारिस।
Islamabad boasts of according autonomy rights to the region of occupied Kashmir. However, the ground situation indicates a glaring repression being meted to the people. It has misruled the region for the last 7 decades and carried out massive economic depredations, filling its coffers in Islamabad. However, a wave of protests challenging the autocracy of Islamabad has surfaced of late, and if Islamabad continues to remain in a state of denial, then the day is not far when the growing rebellion will overthrow the stooges of Pakistan from the occupied region.
Moving on, a well-established Indo-Nepal relationship received a boost as Nepal Foreign Minister Pradeep Kumar Gyawali attended the Rise in a Dialogue, a multilateral annual conference held in New Delhi. Both countries have been extensively working at rebuilding their ties. They engage at multiple fronts throughout the year to provide fresh impetus to decades-old friendship. Last year, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi had visited the country in such endeavour. A report.
Asserting Himalayan countries' hopes of moving forward with India in strength and taking existing bilateral relations to newer heights, Nepalese Foreign Minister reassured that the bilateral agreements and joint ventures will be accomplished in time. Virtually refuting the narrative being propagated by few international media houses owing to some vested interests, Gyawali said that Nepal's foreign policy had an underlying principle of amity with all and animosity with none.
India is our close neighbor with whom Nepal's relations have been comprehensive and multifaceted. Our economic partnership is robust and has a long history. India is our biggest trading partner, source of FDI, and a main transit country. We are connected by geography as well as history, by our religions as well as cultures.
He said India and Nepal can work together towards common progress and prosperity, better physical connectivity, and greater people-to-people connection.
The wonderful journey of India as a major economic powerhouse is an inspiration for many people around the world and more so in our neighborhood. To increase the flow of goods and augment trade between our two countries, we are focused on investing in infrastructures and streamlining procedures. We are aware that cross-border connectivity is very important to unleash development potentials and to spur growth.
India reset its ties with Nepal last year through a visit by Prime Minister Modi, his first after KP Sharma Oli became the Prime Minister. During the visit, both sides agreed to boost trade and economic links, connectivity via air, land and water, people-to-people ties, with Modi declaring that India will work like a Sherpa in the Himalayan nations' development endeavours. These developments between the two countries across various sectors were also brought up during the meeting between both the foreign ministers. The Indian Foreign Ministry later informed that both the ministers had reviewed the developments in bilateral ties, including the progress achieved on 3 transformative initiatives launched in 2018 in the areas of agriculture, railways and inland waterways. They expressed their satisfaction at the progress being made through intensified bilateral exchanges. In the words of Nepal Foreign Ministry, Nepal-India relations are in essence much more than the sum of treaties and agreements concluded between the two countries. The frequent high-level visits by the leaders of the two countries at different points of time and the interactions constitute the hallmark of the ties between the two countries. Furthermore, such visits have helped promote goodwill, trust, understanding and cooperation between the two countries and have injected fresh momentum to further consolidate age-old and multifaceted bilateral relations.
Moving on. One of the most vibrant festivals of India, the International Kite Festival, was organized amid huge fanfare in Ahmedabad city of India's Gujarat state. The air was filled with exuberance and it was all joy and color all around. Have a look.
The serene blue sky appeared splendid as kites of all shapes, size and hues dotted the skyline of Ahmedabad during the 30th International Kite Festival, where participants from as many as 45 countries took part in event at Sabarmati riverfront. Popular among all age groups, the festival attracts thousands every year, and this year was no different, with people from all walks of life thronging the venue. In order to boost tourism, the government of state of Gujarat has been organizing the festival for last many years, and today the event is recognized globally for its uniqueness and witnesses participation from a large number of countries. Many kites had social messages and awareness with information marked in exclusive patterns and designs. The creation of each kite was unique. While some had animal and floral prints, others were made in that shape.
It's hot because in my country it's snowing now, so it's very nice weather for us, very nice event, nice people, beautiful kites, great.
I think everything is good. The wind is perfect, the environment is good, the decoration, the preparation, all the presentation by the kids and by the government, and everything is good. Everything is just perfect, on point.
Thus, besides filling the whole environment with joy and enthusiasm, International Kite Festival is also a great opportunity to build and grow a community of passionate kite flyers in India and throughout the world. The Kite Festival has been taking place in Gujarat every year since 1989. The festival coincides with Uttarayan or Makar Sankranti, which marks the days of the Hindu calendar when winters begin turning to summers. It is the country's largest kite festival, during which the entire state takes to the roofs.
People fly kites in the run-up to the Uttarayan festival celebrated every year on January 14. With that, we come to the end of this week's episode. See you next week. Goodbye and take care.